In your own words, how would you describe this show?
I think that this show is an exploration. Well, I think it's like, I think that this show is kind of a exploration of my own feelings of doom and grief, looking at the world around me, while also trying to process my adolescence growing up as a hardcore punk in Kansas. And I think that in the work I've kind of collapsed time and am like gaming out potential scenarios in which like society has collapsed but people have found a way to keep living, and I'm kind of using the example of when my friends and I were growing up and we had no real infrastructure, so we kind of had to make up rules to survive on our own.
Why Panic Room? Why did you name it Panic Room?
Because I'm constantly panicking. No, I think because it's like, I think that as you kind of like look at all of the cascading crises around us, you begin looking for ways out, and I think it's like, I think that it kind of just perfectly encapsulates the I think Panic Room has this like sort of ironic doomer quality to it, to where it's like, I can kind of tell people like, oh, you are like, you're fucked. It's over. It's over for you. It's over for all of us. Your best shot is a room in your home with, with canned beans and stuff. Sort of this like classic idea of a bunker, but I don't really mean that. I don't really believe that. It's just kind of a hyperbolic way to frame all of this work, and it's supposed to elicit like, I guess like a sort of anxiety, but also just like the sense of absurdity. Nobody has a panic room. You know what I mean? Not really anymore. That's kind of a late 80s thing. Most people have, if they have anything, it's a ranch, a panic ranch. Maybe that would have been more appropriate.
What are some experiences that you've had that you've pulled from when making this show?
I think more than anything, I think there's a couple moments in which like the world itself has not quite collapsed in, and it's just like kind of dealing with this contemporary sense of dread and malaise. It's not as catastrophic as anyone expected it to be, but like there's it's just sort of the sense of like, I will never get to stop working. I will never get to stop working a minimum wage job. And it's these feelings where it's like, I'm pulling from this feeling of there's a solid chance this will never get better. And whether or not that's hyperbolic or in my own head kind of becomes irrelevant to the work. So I think I think I pulled a lot of just like that dread of not even thinking about 10 years in the future, because 10 years in the future looked exactly like it did right then. I couldn't imagine a life better for myself than what I was already going through. So I think working minimum wage jobs, hanging out with my friends and drinking to forget how, it was never as explicit as we're drinking to forget how like desperate we are, but that was kind of the underlying thing. It's like, of course we're gonna get drunk on a weeknight, what else are we going to do?
What headspace are you usually in when you feel most inspired to paint?
I feel ecstatic. I feel so excited. It's like, because most of the work is completely improvised, or there's very very little planning that goes into it, and it's just kind of this like, a couple lines in a sketchbook, and I can kind of like go from there. But it's, despite the sort of grim subject matter, I think that I go into all of these with quite a bit of, I don't want to say the word hope, because I don't think it's hope or optimism or anything, but I think it's just aware of like, as long as I can keep painting these ideas, I can believe that there's possibility, and I can believe that like, I don't want to say a way out of this, because I don't think there's any way out of anything, but I do think that as long as possibility exists, humans can find a way into that, and that's what I've hoped for. It's just this ability to adapt to like even like the worst circumstances, and that is something that I can tap into even on my worst days, of when I'm practically shaking on the train or something, because I'm so anxious or so freaked out about the world. It's like I can come in here and sort of game out different scenarios and feel a little bit better, because like, you know, I'm not very smart or very good at predicting the future, but I figure if I can find scenarios in which people can survive, people much smarter than me that come after me will find better ways, and I can have a little bit of hope for that.
You paint a lot of figures in your paintings. Could you speak a little bit about the figures that you're painting and where that inspiration comes from?
I think it comes from two things. And the first one is, like, sometimes I feel like you're walking down the street and you see somebody doing something just like insane. Just completely insane, or not even like completely insane, but you just catch someone at the right moment doing something that is so like idiosyncratic to this complete stranger. And like you have this connection with them because you remember every time that you've done something insane in public and thought nobody else was looking. You know, and in your head it's just like this instant where it's like, oh, I can paint something like that. And you don't take a photo, you just like imprints, you draw it, and you go from there. Or it gives you this feeling of like there's this gym by my studio, and there were a couple guys who like clearly did not go to this gym, doing pull-ups on their pull-up bar outside, and like I instantly thought of like doing pull-ups and push-ups outside the gym for free is kind of like a fuck you to this really expensive gym. Mm-hmm. And that's like, it's moments like that where I'm just like, again, it's the adaptability, it's the way to like find the best out of the situation that I'm really attracted to. And the other one, or the other place I pull from, is just like moments, just insane moments with my family, and like especially my younger brothers, or like my brothers closest in age to me, because they have always done such a good job at finding these like very particular scenarios that they can just describe off the top of their heads that like give you such a sense of like absurdity but also complete like believability. You know, whether it's like I don't know if I can think of any appropriate in this video, but it's just like this sense of like, you know, raunchy, gritty, surreal scenarios that seem completely realistic to you, I think is a sense that I try to put into the work.
That was awesome.
Thanks.
What is something that you hope people take away from this show?
I hope that people... I am a big believer in looking at the problems we face with a sense of sober urgency. And I mean that in that you look at everything around us and you assess it and you look at it clearly. You don't look at it like, oh, maybe if we do this, we can stop climate change. It's like, no. There are certain facts, there are bedrock facts that we absolutely must face, whether it's climate change or income inequality or racism or just like the nature of capitalism itself. And I understand that's like a difference of ideology, but like that last one at least. But there's certain things that are just inalienable, and we can't get around them anymore. We have reached such a point where it's like we are rapidly approaching a fork in the road this next decade, and it's not that I think that like, you know, humanity itself is facing an existential risk, because I think that's hyperbolic, and I think that people with a vested interest in having you scared believe that. But I do think that we're gonna have to answer a lot of big questions about like the way that people live, what liberty looks like, what freedom looks like. Like, you know, it's especially in America, we're facing this issue where it's like, does freedom look like I am free from this central thing? Am I free from money because I can rely on other people around me, or am I free to do whatever the fuck I want? And that's a big, important question that is in the DNA of this country, and we face these issues, and we can't run from them anymore. We have no choice. There's no more running. We have to face it head on, and that's really scary. And I hope that I don't want to inspire optimism, but I do want to inspire this like this like sort of hope-free realism and sort of like weird, like it's like the difference. It's not quite pessimism, it's not quite realism, and it's definitely not optimism, but it's like I want to inspire this feeling that like we can actually do this. A lot is going to have to change. Like, and you know, if we are successful in making a just future for people that are children now, everything around us is going to have to fundamentally change, but it will be better. It will be so much better, and it's like, and I say that not knowing what any of it looks like, but it's got to be better than this, and that's what I hope people take away from it.
Great. Hold on. I'm stopping it because